We're here at Errwood Reservoir, and it's in the Peak District, part of the Peak District National Park. And it was the second of two reservoirs built in the Goyt Valley. The other being, was it Fernley Reservoir? And it was a cost of 1.5 million in 1967. And it holds over 4 million litres. And it's said to hold good stocks of rainbow and brown trout. What I've come to explore today is Errwood House, a once magnificent country house with wonderful views over the picturesque Goyt Valley, but sadly it only survived for 100 years. It was built in 1830 by Samuel Grimshaw, a wealthy Manchester businessman, and was completed sometime in the 1840s. Today it's quite a contrast from how it once looked to today's interesting ruin. Yeah, sadly it was demolished in 1934 to make way for the reservoir, so they said. Why the Water Company felt the need to knock down an impressive Victorian mansion that was nowhere near the water is a matter of contention. The Hall's origins really go back to an auction of land that was held belonging to some local estate, identifying various plots to be sold. It must have been at this auction that Samuel Grimshaw purchased his Errwood Hall estate. He purchased lot 27, as you can see on the map. Back when the Hall was a thriving estate of over 2,000 acres, it included several farms, a school, the Cat and Fiddle Inn, private coal mine, and the hamlet of Goyt Bridge. Goyt Bridge and much of the farmland of the estate is now submerged under the water of Errwood Reservoir. Although the old Packhorse Bridge, after which the hamlet was named, was relocated further up the valley, and Samuel's grandchildren were the last members of the family to live in the hall. Forestry England, who managed part of the valley on behalf of the landowners, had to deal with a lot of vandalism in the past, and there have been a few raves over the years where people have lit fires on the stones and the likes. And I think one of the worst examples was when some dimwit tried to tunnel under the stone steps just beyond the entrance, and a ridiculous attempt to try and reach the cellars. Probably because there's an urban legend saying that the wealth of the family is still hidden in the cellars. An entrance was also said to be down near the stream beside the ruin. There's probably tunnels down below due to an old coal mine from the 1800s. But it's a bit ridiculous to think that there may be anything valuable still down there. But I suppose the average vandal ain't the sharpest knife in the box. I was asked about hauntings and if there was any ghost sightings. So I've done a bit of research and yeah, it may be haunted. It's hosted a lot of lavish parties and had distinguished guests, even royalty, but it still had its fair share of tragedy. That often shows up in what's left behind. I'm not psychic or anything, and I wouldn't say I'm particularly sensitive to these things, but I did have a feeling of sadness and loneliness. Like if there were spirits there, they'd be looking for the house, and it's been taken away and they're confused about it. Weird feeling I had. Also the cemetery had been altered. Had it been restored, the tombstones repaired or moved? And it's feeling like some of the bodies that were supposed to be in the cemetery are not there. And it may be why the spirits can't move on. Echoes in the ruins. This small cemetery overlooking the old hall is where members of the Grimshaw family and some of their servants were interred. Now, there are said to be 3 female spirits reported to haunt here. A woman dressed in black who's quite ominous, a maid, and a lady who's described as the teacher for some reason. And people have also been stopped in their tracks by an apparition of someone dressed as a butler. They fled in fear and couldn't feel piercing eyes watching them from every direction as they ran back to the car. And incidentally, at the cemetery there is a grave of a Frank who happened to be the butler to the family. Probably one of the more disturbing ones is a young boy who was seen walking in the river near the hall, wearing short trousers, a dirty shirt and long socks, and big boots and a flat cap. A sort of Victorian-looking youth who disappears into the pipe when the river ran through it. Also, a pair of legs have been seen lying in the water just outside the pipe, but nothing's ever been found. Now, I previously mentioned probably the most disturbing one, but this is the most disturbing one. It was back in 1980s, 2 youths were murdered here. It seems a group of homosexuals, and illegal activity at the time it was, used to meet regularly down the Goyt Valley at the quarry toilets. And it was happening for a long time apparently without anybody noticing. But a lad was interviewed for shoplifting and he said, basically, if you drop the charges, I would tell you about something much more serious. He then went on to tell police about the activities at Goyt's Clough quarry and the fact that various young boys had been tortured, brutally assaulted, and 2 had been murdered there. This led the police to the Goyt Valley and the crime scene, and they eventually found the bodies. And was it Peter Bailey and Peter Murray, described as the ringleaders, together with 2 others, were given life sentences. Pete Murray died in jail, as he should. Should ever be released. Let him die, let him rot in jail. There's also been reports of sheep carcasses having been found savagely ripped apart, and roars and howls and things heard at night. Now, I've done a video on the big cats of the Peak District, so a wild predator surviving in this landscape is not surprising to me at all. Yeah, it's so remote and overgrown, anything could live in there. Yeah, there was also a report from a farmer who's lived in the valley for many years, most of his life, even before the reservoirs were constructed, and he claims he saw the beast on several locations. He said it never came near the farm or bothered anyone, but he would see the 4-legged black thing prowling the moors and sometimes hear its fierce and lonely cry at night. Yeah, with the ruins, abandoned communities, deep wild woods, endless moors, and the proximity of the mysterious Beach Valley, a big cat's easy to imagine.